Alright, the last video in regards to this class. So I appreciate everyone taking time to review my proposal. I just want to share my research on effectiveness of EMDR for first responders experiencing trauma-like symptoms and PTSD. Something that I kind of want to just put in your forefront to imagine is a paramedic arriving at a car accident, seeing multiple victims, some fatally injured. She knows that she has to respond quickly and professionally. Every shift, more traumatic experiences like this continue. Every time that you think, wow, this is my worst day, it just seems like there's so many other worse days. And they end up just erasing the last one and also compounding on it, if that makes sense, because you're in these careers, you just have to continuously go, and you just don't have time to truly process everything that's happened to you until you hit your breaking point. Over time, these exposures lead to PTSD, stress disorder, chronic stress, burnout. It doesn't just affect their mental health, but it also affects their job performances, relationships. These people, they're essential to our communities, and their mental health continuously just gets overlooked, whether it's the availability of resources. I know in Cortland County where I reside, there's only so many people that are EMDR trained. If they have openings, that's another thing. If they take your insurance, that's another thing. And it also just seems like there's a lot of negative stigma still with people asking for help in these type of positions, that you're supposed to be so strong that you don't need it, which is just crazy to me, because I think everybody could benefit from a therapist in some way, shape, or form. The conceptualization of this is a very clear problem. First responders are at a higher risk for PTSD and chronic stress due to just their repeated trauma exposure. The population that are most affected by this are EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, law enforcement officers, telecommunication officers. They can be nurses in the ED, nurses in the ICU, any of these people that just continuously just see high traumatic events day in and day out. Generally there's adults, they can be across urban or rural settings. My proposed intervention is EMDR therapy to kind of focus on how to process these distressing memories and reduce emotional distress as well. It's already recognized as evidence-based for trauma populations, but research specifically targeting first responders is unfortunately limited, probably for some of the barriers that I just mentioned. So contextualizing this, the literature that I've brought up in some of my papers demonstrates the effectiveness in reducing PTSD stress symptoms. There was one research that I found that it reduces psychological interventions, including trauma-focused therapy, which will reduce PTSD in first responders. Another one that I looked into showed that EMTs experience a measurable decrease in stress after EMDR therapy. And one of the other ones that I also found shows that early EMDR interventions significantly reduce PTSD symptoms in traumatic exposure populations. The last one that I spoke about in my research paper was EMD's promise, basically how it highlights that it's very beneficial for first responders, but they did also note that they need to do a larger scale research and have kind of more data. These findings definitely support my thought and my hypothesis, and it rationalizes the testing for EMDR within occupational trauma settings. The operationalization of this is it's being tested, EMDR therapy. The study will use quantitative and experimental pretest and post designs. This would look like a checklist, kind of to get a baseline on where they are before they start the therapy, and then where they are after the therapy. A variable of this is the PTSD symptom severity. Like I said, the data will be collected pre and post. The purpose of the sampling will target first responders who meet the criteria, and they also consent to participate, ensuring that the study focuses on a population directly affected by this trauma. The reflections and ethics that will be performed, it will be a voluntary participation. Confidentiality will be strictly mandated and maintained. Informed consent will be obtained. Sessions will be led by clinical professionals at all aspects. This proposal also will permit promote social justice and equity by addressing a population whose mental health needs are critical, but they're often overlooked. And hopefully with this research and these statistics, we can improve access to the effective trauma interventions that also aligns with strengthening this community. That can look like jobs, just kind of having an EMDR therapist like on retainer. It can also look like just having, more resources. It could look like having a few days paid time off after something like terrible happens. And I can think of like a few calls right off the bat that have personally affected me that I did not take the adequate time off for financial reasons, for just, staffing reasons. And I think that it could have been beneficial to have like 3 days of beach time to reset yourself. Anyways, so the impact would be the therapy is going to reduce PTSD symptoms for this population, and like I said, hopefully this will influence some workplaces to have some better support programs and just having like part of mental health routine as like a care. My closing statement would be that these people face unique trauma exposures that put them at a significant risk for PTSD and chronic stress. EMDR therapy is an evidence-based practice. It has a strong potential to reduce these symptoms, and my research proposal aims to expand the evidence and, tailor the interventions for this population. I plan to advocate for policies that can support first responder mental health. By funding this project, we have the opportunity to make a meaningful difference in the lives of those who make a meaningful difference in our community every day. And I appreciate everybody taking the time and listening to this, because I think it's definitely an area that we as a nation can strive to better in. So thank you, and I'll see you next class.